Okay, good morning, everybody. Make sure I'm all good to go here. Everything's set. And we're good. I think sound's good, video's good. And so we will kick off another bright and early Ask Me Anything. It is 5:45 a.m. here on the West Coast. Again, it's probably tomorrow in Australia, but welcome to everybody. Got some good questions. I've got my notes scratched down so that hopefully I don't lose track too much and go down too many rabbit holes. And we'll have a good time. Here we go. Coffee's good. Got a fresh cup of coffee. So we'll dive right in. First one is a pretty cool and interesting question, which is probably why I got the most upvotes. It is from Ben S. And he wrote, seeing as we just did Jack, how do you feel about hero workouts in theory and in practice? Do you think they're a good way to honor individuals, or do you think the concern with one's score devalues the honor? It's an interesting question, right? So, first of all, before I give my thoughts on this, allow me to say that I almost feel like this is a very prickly, sensitive, nuance-filled topic to even discuss, right? And so I'm aware of that, and I'm probably not going to do it properly, so my apologies. I'm just a flawed human trying my best to answer this question. Because it's tough to talk about a hero workout that involves somebody that's passed away, and who am I to interpret whether or not the appropriate level of honor is or is not happening? Like, there's a lot going on there that I don't know how to answer properly, right? To tiptoe through all that stuff. So, with that being said, again, I'm trying to do it here, but I could very well say something idiotic. So for hero workouts in general, I've certainly got some thoughts on it, especially as a former military individual that, I've got buddies that got killed overseas, and so, there's some intimate relation I do have to the topic there as well. I've also, written some of the hero workouts that you see on CrossFit.com or whatnot. I was the individual that made those. So I'm familiar with the deal. And I've got some definite thoughts on it. So first of all, in theory and in practice. So in theory, it's great, right? If we're all going to get together, we're going to have this shared experience in honor of a certain individual. I think that's fantastic. I can find very little wrong with that. I think maybe the only place where it could go somewhere that it shouldn't go, and I don't know if devaluing the honor or something is the right phraseology, is if people just didn't realize why you're doing the hero workout. That's it. For the hero workout Jack, you can go into Google, type in CrossFit Hero Workout Jack, and read that there is a true, real human being behind that name that, lost their life. And, did they leave family behind? How old were they? Where did it happen? All that kind of stuff. That it is, even though it's another workout in your training week, it's not just another workout. Like, there's more to it than that. And so I think just simply a good practice would be before a hero workout just to make sure that you read the little testament to that individual as to what they were about, and tuck that in the back of your brain, and realize that the fact that you're just out in whatever country it is that you happen to be living in, and you have the freedom and leisure time to go do a workout, is a pretty cool thing, and that in and of itself should be cherished and valued. And worrying about a particular PR on something like a hero workout, yeah, I get that, right? Because human beings like to improve and they like to track their data and all of that. But I would say for something like a hero workout, it really is the effort that matters. It's the fact that you showed up, and the fact that you did it, and the fact that you dedicated some part of your day in which you could have been doing something else to this workout, which was in memory of a certain individual. So that I would say is my stance on hero workouts in general. there's a couple other things I have as well, and this would be a matter of personal opinion, but I have a strong stance on it. And I know that some people feel like you can't modify a hero workout because potentially that would devalue or dishonor the individual, right? Like it's supposed to be incredibly grueling and this mental battle that you do with yourself because it's that hard, and therefore you shouldn't scale the workout. I guess to each their own, right? There's no law. You're not going to be dragged off to jail for doing it one way or another. But for me personally, I will scale it in 2 seconds. Doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. And this is where I'm getting into, potentially troublesome waters of like, I can't sit here and speak on behalf of somebody who's passed away. That would be wildly inappropriate for many reasons. But I've got plenty of buddies who have passed away that I knew quite well. And I just can't imagine one of them, if there was a hero workout named after them, and somebody was going to do the hero workout, but some part of that workout, whether it was the loading, the movement, or the rep scheme, it was just not a good decision for the participant. It wasn't not that it was going to be tough or challenging or going to sweat a lot or be huffing and puffing. Like, it just wasn't a good decision. That loading is going to be a bad call for my back. It's potentially injurious. It's whatever it happens to be. I can't see somebody, nope, sorry, you've got to potentially blow your back out because that's how it was written, because it's a hero workout. That's the only way that it can be done. That I don't agree with. I still think no matter what workout you're doing, whether it's just a workout that poof came out of thin air or a workout that is in memory of somebody, you need to engage your brain as well as your body and make a smart decision so that you can do the next hero workout that comes up, tweak yourself. So I've got no drama with scaling hero workouts, and even scaled, it's still going to be plenty tough. I'm also a fan of hero workouts and there's the whole range of hero workouts, and I'm a big fan of hero workouts that are, how to phrase this correctly, it's easy to think, okay, I'm going to make a hero workout, so I'm just going to throw a ton of movements, a ton of loading, and a ton of rep range, and make it such a horrifically taxing physical and mental process that you might not finish it and you're never going to want to do it again. It's like, I guess you could make a hero workout that way. That's not how I would want to do it personally. I'm a fan of hero workouts that are, I guess appropriately challenging is a good way to say it. Like, I think of a workout like DT. Everybody loves DT. DT is a tough workout. It's not a joke. DT is a tough workout. But it's a really nice workout, and it's a well-programmed workout, and it's not so much of everything that it's such a colossal beatdown that you don't want to do it that frequently. Like, DT is something that if it fit into your training program, you could do DT once a quarter and be great. And I like hero workouts that are like that. Now, don't get me wrong, there's the whole gamut, and there is a place for one that's just profoundly grueling, and you're not going to do that frequently, and you got to fit that into your programming in a very specific way. You have to do it intelligently. So, and it's also, this is again just a prickly subject, right? I'm thinking about this one buddy I had specifically who passed away, and there's not an official hero workout written for him. There's one that I used to do on my own every now and then, but it's not like an official one that showed up on CrossFit or whatnot. But I almost have this feeling that if he was to like poof appear in front of me in the middle of the hero workout that I created in his memory, I almost feel like he would be like, stop, what are you doing? And I'd be like, I'm suffering, in memory of you. And he's like, no, I get that. But I didn't ask you to do that. And as a matter of fact, there's been plenty of suffering that's already happened. I would prefer that you have like a cookout with a bunch of friends and a bunch of cold beer, and you guys sit around eating delicious food and laugh and tell a bunch of stories. That would be great. What are you doing dragging this sled? This doesn't make any sense. Again, I could be totally wrong, but I have this feeling in my head of knowing this individual that that's probably how the conversation would go. So, you know, who knows? Who knows? But yes, I do think it's very important doing a hero workout to remember what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and that there is a real person, behind that name that is no longer here. So it's a great question. And the other day on Jack, I scaled Jack, and it was plenty challenging. All right, next most upvoted question. From Jin W. And she writes, Coach, what's your best go-to quote that you tell yourself when you're mentally about to break? I could use a good line or two as some of the workouts are being posted. Okay, a good line I use when I'm mentally about to break. I don't know if I have a good line, like a little fancy quip or a little witty quip or something like that, or a motivational quote. Nothing like that kind of rolls through my head. But getting to your question as to what do I do if I'm mentally about to break or something in a workout, I would say it depends on the day, it depends on the workout, and it depends on my intentions. I might allow myself to break and stop, or I might not. It depends on the day and what I wanted to have occur. So yesterday, for example, we had that dirty 3-round workout with the 155 barbell for men, 105 for women, 21 deadlifts, 15 bar facing burpees, 12 chest to bar pull-ups, and 9 walking lunges at that grotesque weight. Yesterday I could have powered through the sets of 21 deadlifts for the second and third round. First round was just fine. Then of course I did the 9 lunges in round 1, dropped the barbell, picked it up to start doing the deadlifts, and around rep number 10 I had a decision to make. I was either going to break or power through. And I could have powered through. I could have just sucked it up and had my body feel like it was head to toe on fire and been screaming and making weird sounds in my garage and grunted out the 21 deadlifts. But why? At what cost? And what would be the point of doing that, even though that I could? It was day 3 of working out. I was a bit tired. I wanted to make it a moderate intensity day anyway because it was day 3, and so I did that set of 21 deadlifts as 10-6-5 with 0 regrets. So I was faced with a choice to break, and I said, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm perfectly happy with that decision. And even breaking, I was still standing there just huffing and puffing, sucking wind, and the sets of 6 were still really hard, and the sets of 5 were still really hard. Like there was no being shortchanged in any way, shape, or form. There was plenty of intensity to drive results, and today I don't feel like a truck hit me. And so that's the goal right there. I could have held on for the sets of 21, and I would be standing here with a lumbar spine, my spinal erectors, that would feel markedly different than they do right now. And I'm very glad that I made the decision that I did. Now, the other thing is, you might want to resist breaking. So, for example, I chose to break right there. Or maybe you find yourself, we're talking about hero workouts, just finishing round 4 of the 7, and you've got 3 rounds left, and all you want to do is stop. You just want to quit. You don't want to keep going. Even if you slow down, you just don't want to keep going. You want it to be over. Or maybe you're in the middle of Linchpin Test 13. All the running and all the burpees, potentially with a weight vest. And all you want to do is quit. And you want to move forward. Okay, in that situation, how do we resist quitting? Or how do I resist mentally breaking? I don't have a quote. All the experiences in my head that I've been through, kind of like a Rolodex. I probably just dated myself by bringing up a Rolodex. So I personally think back to previous experiences that I've endured, and that gives me confidence to keep moving forward. And those experiences could run the gamut from workouts to any other aspect of life that has been some sort of a challenge that in some way, shape, or form I was accomplished and moved forward. And knowing that I did that gives me some sort of confidence that I can do whatever it is that I find myself in the middle of right now. So it's not a particular quote. It's a me going through history in my head of what I've previously done, and I know that I can do whatever it is that I am doing right now. I also think about, as corny as it may be, if I think about like quitting in the middle of a workout that I know that I can do, I'm just quitting not because it's unsafe, not because of anything like that. I'm quitting because I get a little lazy voice in my head. That's what I'm talking about, and I want to push that one away. If there's a voice saying, stop, you're about to tweak your back, I listen to that voice. If it's a little lazy voice, well, that's a different voice. We want to squash that voice. So I also think about the person that I want to be. I want to be somebody who finishes things. I don't want to be a quitter. And both of those largely are just choices, quite frankly. But there is also a difference between quitting and making a smart decision. I also want to be wise. So like I said, it was my intention to break up those deadlifts yesterday. I don't feel like I quit in the deadlifts. I feel like I made a decision, and 24 hours has gone by, and I'm happy with that decision. Listening to your body, that's wise. That's not a bad decision. That's not quitting. That's wise. And talking about hero workouts and talking about other stuff and mentally breaking and making decisions and all that, I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Going back to military stuff, since we're talking about hero workouts, there was an individual that it sticks with me to this day that I went through BUDS with, through SEAL training with, a long time ago. I'm not going to say his name. And a very big thing in BUDS is like quitting and not quitting. Like it's quite a thing, and a lot of people quit. So I think in my class we started with 180 people or so, and we had like 31 originals graduate, so we lost like 150 people along the way. And most of them quit obviously in phase 1, Hell Week, things like that. And then after phase 1, and after Hell Week, really, people don't really quit. You might get removed from training due to an injury. You might get removed from training because you did not meet a particular hurdle of time or performance that you had to meet on a swim, a run, a test, some sort of level of competency. You didn't make it, you get removed from training. But there's, like post Hell Week, there's not too many people that actually quit, because they can't hack it anymore. They can endure, they can suffer, and they're there on graduation day, as long as they don't get, again, injured and whatever, or fail a standard. And especially this doesn't happen in third phase. Nobody quits in third phase. I mean, you can kind of see the finish line. I mean, come on. And we had somebody in our class quit in third phase. And I don't know of anyone else that's ever quit in third phase. And this individual quit during a segment of, we were at land navigation section of training in the mountains. And his first name was Rob. I'll just say his first name. And so I remember Rob quit during this land navigation phase. And again, you could see graduation day, to be honest with you. It wasn't too far away, maybe like a month away, a little bit more than a month. But here's the difference. It's all lumped under the same word as quit, right? You stopped doing whatever you're doing, you quit. And Rob quit in third phase of BUDS. But there's quitting because you can't hack it. There's quitting because you're lazy. And there's quitting because you actually made an informed decision and you decided the right thing to do was to stop. That could also be lumped under the phrase quitting, but it's not the same. And that is exactly what Rob did. Rob was a beast. Rob was a physical stud and a mental beast, mentally strong as well. He could have been there on graduation day if he wanted to, but he got that far in training, and for whatever reason, I'm sure he wishes it had happened a whole heck of a lot sooner. It took that far into training for him to realize, what is this job that I'm actually training for, that I'm about to go do and dedicate the rest of my life to, what does it really entail? Do I actually want to do this job now that I am getting somewhat of a clear vision of what it's all about? Even though I can do it, do I want to and should I? And for him, the answer was no. He didn't want to do that. He could have been there on graduation day, and he made that decision, third phase, to quit, to stop. And so I have people that when I look back and remember in my class, there are quitters. There are ones that couldn't hack it, and it was too hard, and they rang the bell, and they went home. And that's fine. That's not a value judgment. That's just, it is what it is. It's a statement of fact. And then there are people that quit on their own terms. And that would be somebody like Rob, who made an actual decision as to what they did and didn't want to do, and then executed on that decision. And so you can do that also with your workouts. Just because you stop, slow down, modify, or do whatever, and it's not necessarily that you're breaking in a bad way. You might just be making a smart decision. And so you just have to know the difference between making a smart decision and am I just being a little bit lazy? So hopefully that helps people. Okay, next one came from the BTWB Squads feature. And let me get this up here. Sorry, doing stuff with my screen here so I can see everything. This is ego versus confidence. It's an interesting question. It's from Corey M. So this is what Corey asks. She says, I'm interested in your thoughts about ego versus confidence. I've always thought I checked my ego at the door because I only ever felt competitive with myself. But during 2020 and 2021, I worked out almost every day to cope with stress and felt amazing, until I ended up with tendinopathy in both shoulders last fall. Forcing myself to take more rest days, which makes me jittery, not skipping warm-ups and cool-down movements, and continuing PT and mobility exercises is helping me build back pain-free since about a month ago. But I spent almost a year feeling so much less confident in myself even outside of the gym. I've been mixing up ego with feeling self-assured, and is there any good way to find a balance? I'm a nearly 55-year-old mom, and I've been doing CrossFit for 10 and a half years. Okay, so good question. There's a lot in there too. So I'll chat just real briefly my thoughts on ego and confidence, but the part in there that would be a lot to unpack as well also is, it sounds like CrossFit or physical fitness or something like that was a coping mechanism for some other stress that helped keep some mental happiness going there as well. And that's a whole another lot of thing to unpack as to how to find that fine balance. And if physical fitness was something that helped you mentally, then yes, that makes sense to me as to why you did it every darn day. But unfortunately, the price for doing it every darn day is your body is still this physiological being that requires rest and will eventually break down. And it did eventually break down. And now it sounds like because of that breakdown, you've lost confidence in your abilities. And how do you go back and getting those, and where's the line? So we say the whole remove ego, embrace scaling, keep your ego in check and all of that a lot. But the interesting thing is, ego is not necessarily in and of itself a bad thing. It's only just in excess or used improperly or presented improperly. Is it a bad thing? Again, but properly balanced, there's nothing wrong with ego. I think an ego and confidence they're intertwined, but egos generally are just simple, overly simplified word we'll go to for, cocky and arrogant, something like that. Or an overinflated, unwarranted sense of self-worth and self-importance. The key phrase there being unwarranted and overinflated, and almost being flamboyant with it, if you will. So I took something off the internet today which was interesting. It says ego is normal and natural, only in excess may be bad. Ego is actually the Latin word for I. So when you just say I. So if a person seems to begin every sentence with I, it's sometimes a sign of a big ego. It was the psychologist Sigmund Freud, well actually his original translator, who put ego into the popular vocabulary, but what he meant by the word is complex, so only other psychologists really use it in the Freudian sense. The rest of us generally use ego simply to mean one's sense of self-worth, whether exaggerated or not. When used in an exaggerated sense, ego is also basically the same thing as conceit, meaning meeting a superstar athlete without a trace of ego would be an almost refreshing experience. But having a reasonable sense of your own worth is no sin, and life's little victories are good, in fact, necessary for a healthy ego. So again, I think it is possible to have a healthy ego, but it can rear its ugly head. And so for a very quick, overly simplified, go-to linguistic term, ego is basically conflated with over-exaggerated conceit, overextending yourself, and presenting yourself in a way that others wouldn't want to enjoy being around you. So that's what we want to avoid. Confidence, on the other hand, I looked that up as well just to get the actual definition. And confidence seems like something we would all want. A feeling or consciousness of one's power or reliance on one's circumstances, faith or belief that one will act in a right, proper, or effective way, a quality or state of being certain about something, a relation of trust, a reliance on another's discretion. So basically, confidence is kind of knowing factually your limits. You're being very secure in what you can and can't do and understanding that in a black and white fashion. And ego, overly simplified, is probably when that gets exaggerated and amplified to a degree that is unpleasant, unwarranted, and untrue. But a little bit of both are needed. You're a normal human being to have both. So I think that's very important to realize. I personally say it's all in how you carry yourself. So daily tests, challenges, workouts, I would say that they're all data points and of what you can do. Of what you can do physically, of what you can do socially, of what you can do emotionally, of what you can do intellectually. And ideally, all of these experiences and data points would give you a healthy ego, a belief in yourself, and a confidence. And they wouldn't get you in trouble by making bad decisions. And so confidence, ego, they go hand in hand. It's just you have to also use some discretion and intelligence to let ego not get the best of you. And maybe this potentially could be related to what we spoke about earlier with a hero workout. I might have had my ego does exist for sure, very much a human being. And sometimes, even though I know that I should scale a workout, it still bothers me every now and then because I'm a human being, and that's just a normal thing. My ego will creep in and say, hey, look, you can do the swings as American swings. You don't have to do Russian swings. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's going to hurt your lower back. Look, suck it up. It's a hero workout. You can do this. People are going to see what you do on social media. You've got to represent, it can be a loud voice. It can be challenging to have the confidence in yourself to quell that other voice and make the actual proper informed decision. But we all face those battles every single day, not only in the gym, but at work and social situations, the whole 9 yards. So it's a never-ending battle. But I would say if you're looking to build back your confidence, again, it's just baby steps. Every day, baby steps. And every day, whatever it is that you happen to overcome or accomplish socially, workout-wise or whatnot, goes into that mental database of what you can do, and then you move forward from that. So, all right, final question. This was also from the BTWB Squads feature. All right, let me move this over here so I can see it. All right. This is from Alexander W. Hi, Pat. Thanks for your work and everything, Linchpin. I especially appreciate the weekly moderating intensity videos. Good. Glad that you like that. And on the subject of planning a week in moderating intensity, I have a twofold question. Number one, What happens when a heavy day or a sprint day falls on a day that you don't have a full hour to spend to do it properly? Do you swap days, or do you scale the workout back to fit the time that you have available? Great question. Second one, what happens if you're in the middle of a workout that you decide was going to be moderate intensity and you realize it feels like high intensity? This happened to me with the workout last week. Halfway through, I thought, wow, this is really brutal. Thanks again. Okay, so let's tackle the first one. It actually is a relatively, I've got a simple answer, let me say that. So if it's a heavy day or if it's a sprint day and life throws something my way and I thought I'd have a full hour to do it properly and suddenly, boom, I don't. Again, confidence and ego, right? My ego might say, you can rush a heavy day. Psst, come on. You've been doing CrossFit for so long, you can get by once without a proper warm-up. Just jump up to a heavy bar, start squatting. That's a bad decision. So no, what I would probably do on a day like that, if I didn't have a full hour to do a heavy day, and that happens regularly in my life with 3 kids, is I choose the limited equipment option. That's my go-to right away when that happens to my schedule. I'm going to do the dumbbell option because the dumbbell option, the limited equipment option, it's not going to shortchange you. That's for darn sure. You're going to get plenty strong. It's going to deliver the goods. But if it's, warming up to a lightweight takes less time than warming up to a heavyweight. So if I'm going to warm up to try to pull over 400 pounds off the ground on a deadlift day, the warm-up's going to take a very long time, and it's going to take me personally, quite a while to gradually build my warm-up sets towards my working set, towards that first working set of my deadlift. It's going to take a decent chunk of time. But if I only have to lift a pair of 50-pound dumbbells off the ground, well, that's 100 pounds total. It's going to take me a lot less time to warm up to pull 100 pounds off the ground than to warm up to pull 400 pounds off the ground. So I can get to the workout if I needed to a whole heck of a lot quicker. And so I'm going to do the dumbbell option. And I've even done things where I'll even modify the limited equipment option if I really am just totally, my back's against the wall, and let's say it's a heavy squat day, it's 5x5 back squat, I don't have the time to do it. I might modify the limited equipment option to where it's like a built-in warm-up and workout all in the same thing. I've said this before. I might do 5 rounds for time of 2 minutes on the bike and then 15 meters of dumbbell walking lunges with almost no warm-up. But I know for me, after 2 minutes on the bike, I can grab a pair of 50-pound dumbbells and I can lunge with them for 15 meters and be just fine. And I'm not overextending myself. I'm not going beyond my safety parameters of loading, technique, spinal health, any of that stuff. I can do that. And if I do that 5 times, the 2 minutes on the bike serves as a nice rest period, keeps the legs moving to hopefully keep the lactic acid from building up too much, get off the bike, hit another set of lunges. Doesn't take that long. I'm in and out in 20 minutes. My legs are plenty toasty the next day, and even though I didn't do a true heavy day, I strengthened the musculature in my lower body, and I'm going to be just fine to crush life. So I do things like that every now and then. Number one go-to, I do the limited equipment option, precisely as written. Is my day really screwed? Well, then I'll even modify it even more and do something like I just said right there. And it serves me quite well. Second thing you said is, that's a heavy day. What if a sprint day falls on a day that you can't give it the time that you need? I'll kind of do the same thing. And what I mean by that is, the other day on the 10 by 100 meter sprints, I'm going to spend some good time warming up, because I know what happens to the old glutes and hamstrings if you don't on a 10 by 100 meter repeat day, especially for somebody like myself who's north of 40 years old. Respect. So, big warm up, and then gradually doing some test sprints with just a little more effort and a little more effort and a little more effort to really warm up the hamstrings, taking rest between all of that stuff. The rest is critically important. So it takes a long time for me to get to that first 100 meter sprint. So if I don't have time to do that, I'll probably do something like head into the garage and hop onto the Echo bike because, again, for me personally, I can hammer myself on the Echo bike, get a very intense sprint day experience on that thing with a significantly reduced warm-up compared to what I could do to foot sprinting. And I've never even had a fraction of a moment where I felt like something was going to like pull or tear in my hamstring. It's just really hard, really unpleasant, really uncomfortable, quite intense on the bike, but also, taxing on the hamstrings and quads and all that good stuff, but not like an, oh no, I might pull a hammy. That's not in the cards. And so for a rushed sprint day, I'll absolutely just hop out there, hop on the bike, and, depending upon whatever my time allows me, hammer 20 seconds on the bike, going it'd be great if I could go every 3 minutes, that'd be ideal, but I would need about 30 minutes to do that. Every 3 minutes if I can. If not, 20 seconds of max effort for every 2 minutes. And then I do that 10 times, I'm in and out in 20 minutes. And so again, there are ways that I could do that and make it happen. Not ideal, but real life doesn't care every now and then. So that's what I would do in those situations. And then the second part is, what happens if you're in the middle of a workout that you wanted to make moderate intensity, and then you realize that you're going high intensity, this is brutal, I'm going too fast? Well, personally, this kind of happened maybe yesterday when I discussed a second ago, during that 3-round workout with the 155-pound barbell, I had a decision to make. Yesterday I wanted to make it a moderate intensity day and not care if I broke things up. And as soon as round 2 began, I had that decision to make of like, ooh, this is a gross workout. Like, this is a stinger, like, for sure. There's the fork in the road, right? There's the decision. Do I stick with my plan of gonna make it a moderate intensity day? That's okay. Break up the deadlifts. Yes, the clock's gonna continue to run. Who cares? That's okay. Let the clock run. Or does my little ego say, you gotta dig in and get this thing going? The overwhelming majority of the time, I try to make that good decision. I did it yesterday. So when I find myself in the middle of a workout that I wanted to make moderate intensity and it's starting to sting a bit, I just slow down, drop the barbell, stop, take 10 breaths, and just allow myself to get back to what I know I should be doing, which is having a moderate intensity day. Easier said than done, but ideally it's because of all these conversations that we have and that we know that those moderate intensity days are mission critical. And that if you just go into the gym every day, for most of us, unless you're an android and you live in France and your name's Ben, and you just hammer yourself every single solitary day, you're not going to improve. That working harder and harder and harder every day actually delays progress and hurts results. Again, easy to say, tough to do. And so on those days that you should be taking it a bit easy, and if you feel yourself going down a road of just smashing yourself, you've got to keep that big picture in mind, understand why we're doing what we're doing, and allow yourself to throttle back, knowing that you're making the smart decision, and doing that will actually make you a fitter human being in the long run. Again, easier said than done, but that's what I have go through my head. Okay, let's do a couple of Linchpin shoutouts, and then I'll go refill my coffee. My daughter looks very close to potentially waking up. Hopefully she stays asleep a little bit longer. This first shout out is cool because it's actually about ego. This is a while ago from Jesse H. We had a workout that had overhead squats and double unders. The prescribed loading for men was 135. Jesse says, my left shoulder wasn't cooperating today and 135 didn't feel right. I checked my ego, scaled it, and it still delivered the goods. Exactly. Scaling is cool. Scaling is making a good decision. This is a good one. Let's see. From Jocelyn B. She's got a great picture here of hiking with her son. And she says, when people ask what I'm training for, I always reply, keeping up with my child. Yesterday we finally visited the mountains for his first hike, a 6-kilometer hike. He managed 5 kilometers of it, and then I carried him for the final 1 kilometer, which happened to be the uphill part. This program has helped prepare me for a 1 kilometer uphill climb carrying a 50-pound child with a 20-pound hiking bag. Very cool. There's some real life stuff for you. And then finally, last shout out, this is a heck of an accomplishment right here. This is from Brendan J., who just posted this recently in the private Facebook group. He says, "Put fitness to the test this weekend. I did a Spartan Beast in Killington, Vermont. 21 kilometers long, 30 obstacles, 7,000 feet of elevation gain, and I finished in just over 8 hours. Thanks, Linchpin, for the fitness." Wow, that's a grind right there. That's pretty darn cool. And so that is it for today. And just again, a gentle reminder, the next Linchpin Challenge is coming up. It'll be Test 1, which is a couple Frans and a bunch of running. You can find all the Linchpin tests if you go to CrossFitLinchpin.com, click on workouts, click on tests, and you can see all the tests. We're going to be doing 1 test a month. There's 14 tests, so we've got one laid out for the next 14 months. They're totally optional, of course. You can do them completely and utterly for free and just sign up through BTWB once it gets posted and goes live, and just get your name on the leaderboard, log your result, and have a good time. Or you can get yourself a cool t-shirt, tank top, a little piece of swag. And it's going to be September 23rd through the 26th. That's a Friday through Monday. So Linchpin Test 1 coming up, and I'll make it more obvious once it's like live and official. And there's a piece of swag coming to me in the mail that I want to test and see if I like it, and if so, we'll offer that as well. But I'm not going to tell you what it is yet because I don't know if it's going to truly look how we want it to look. But that's it. And then I'll see, hopefully, as many people as possible at the Rogue Invitational at the end of October down in Round Rock, Texas. Enjoy your rest day, and we'll talk later.